Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.
Yes, it's that time again. Hello and welcome to the latest edition of NEWSWAVE, written, produced and recorded in the heart of Cornwall by the team here at Chaos Radio. I'm your host Tom Howe and I'll be guiding you through some of the insightful guests and exciting news content that we've enjoyed across Chaos Radio this past week. Now on today's show we're joined by Kiley Pearce, events fundraiser at Children's Hospice South West, as well as charity supporter Happy Days Nurseries, to talk about the return of the much-loved Rainbow Run at RAF St Mawgan this June. Gareth and Matt from We Are One are in the studio to discuss how their organisation supports mental health through sport, including plans for an upcoming Rugby Sevens tournament. We catch up with Councillor Ethan Stephens, the new Mayor of St Austell, about stepping into the role, his priorities and the challenges ahead. Meanwhile, Noah Law, MP for St Austell and Newquay, joins the People in Mind show to highlight the importance of supporting mental health and wellbeing in our communities. And we sit down with author Katie Carr to talk about her new memoir, Thundery at Times, and the remarkable journey behind it.
NEWSWAVE.
Now, Cornwall's biggest and most colourful family fun run returns this summer, bringing a sea of colour to RAF St Mawgan for a truly inspirational cause. Last year, more than 1,500 participants took part in the Rainbow Run, raising an incredible £107,000 for Children's Hospice South West. Now in its 12th year, the event brings together families, groups, businesses and friends on a 5-kilometre route, complete with 8 powder paint stations. Ahead of this year's event being held on Saturday the 20th of June, I was joined by Kiley Pearce, the event's fundraiser at Children's Hospice South West themselves.
NEWSWAVE.
So we are taking Rainbow Run to the road. So this week is our Rainbow Run Roadshow. So we are out visiting our sponsors and any groups or businesses that are taking part next month in our Rainbow Run. So we're delivering some Rainbow Run cakes, and the purpose is just to go along, say thank you, but also as a way of encouraging other groups to also sign up. So we've been visiting our sponsor St Eggs. We've got Happy Days here with us today. We are seeing Circuits R Us, Versatile Fitness. We've reached out to some solicitors that are taking part, some accountants. So popping along with lots of cake, because who doesn't like cake? And spreading the word about the 12th year of our Rainbow Run across our social media accounts.
What is then, let's take a step back, what is Rainbow Run?
Rainbow Run is a flat 5k where you start off in a white t-shirt and are showered in 8 different colours. So as you cross the finish line, you'll be an explosion of colour, and of course you'll get your Rainbow Run medal. Importantly, it's raising vital funds for Children's Hospice South West and our local Children's Hospice Little Harbour here in St Austell. It cost us £4.3 million a year to support the 120 babies, children and young people currently using that service. Rainbow Run last year raised over £100,000. So it's really important we can find different ways to engage with the local community and businesses and groups of how they can support their local children's hospice.
You used a very key word there, which I hoped you were going to do. You've read the script. Community. It's more than just a charity event or a fundraiser. It's a community. You've got events like this going on throughout the year. So many different things, and it is a community, isn't it?
The hospice it's the community's hospice. Just like the adult hospice, these hospices provide a vital part to the services that so many families need that unfortunately the NHS cannot provide. At Little Harbour, we're not just about end-of-life support, we're about resilience days for mum and dad who are looking after their child 24/7 and they obviously can't get a full night's sleep. It's about having their tea cooked for them. It's about coming in and accessing the hydrotherapy pool, the sensory room, the ball pool. We have hoists, which means some children who can't have a bath at home, they can come in and just have a bath. Some families stay for a weekend, some just come in and use us for a day. And then we are there to provide that inspirational and incredible end of life support and beyond. And that is really key. We have almost 200 families that we are supporting from the last 14 years of us being open, that they come along to these events, and it's a way of them remembering their child as well and still having a connection to the hospice, because it was the last place that they had memories with their child, and that's really important for so many of our families.
So let's talk about some of these amazing organisations that help you achieve the remarkable things that you're able to do for these families, for these young people. You've already been busy out and about this week.
Rainbow Run actually costs £22,000 to put on, and what we are so lucky to have here in Cornwall, and it's about the community, is businesses that come and sponsor the event. We've got 8 sponsors this year, one of which is here with us today, Happy Days, and they have been sponsoring the Rainbow Run almost since the beginning. It's their 9th year, but it's not just about their support with Rainbow Run, it is about their support with their wider funding and support of Children's Hospice South West. Nicola's here to tell you more.
Yes, Nicola, can we bring you in at this point if you don't mind? Welcome to Chaos. We're delighted to have you here today. Tell us a little bit about Happy Days and what makes it so very special.
Happy Days is an incredibly special organisation originating in Cornwall 35 years ago, and I've been very fortunate to be part of the organisation for that 35 years. And both my children and my granddaughter have been through Happy Days alongside many thousands more children. We, like I said, originated in Cornwall, but we are now far spread and we're covering many parts of the country. So we're not just Southwest based now. We cover, all the way up to Bristol, all the way down to Southampton and beyond. So yeah, it's a fabulous organisation, and we are delighted to be able to support and work alongside Children's Hospice South West, and we have been doing so for the last 9 years. We were very fortunate to have a couple of ladies come into our office last week. Our head office is based in Somercourt, and we have a number of colleagues that work from there, and we're really trying to encourage and ignite a desire to support the charity more, not just the Rainbow Run, but in other ways. And I think it really did touch a lot of hearts, the talk that the ladies gave us last week, so much so that we're now looking at other ways we can support the organisation and the charity. We're going to be doing, I think it's called the Big Cream Tea. So we've got that organised in June, but we've also got a number of colleagues that are going to be joining the Rainbow Run next month. I did it last year with my granddaughter. It's fabulous fun. I've got the pictures to prove it. We were absolutely covered in paint by the end of it. It's the best day, and we still talk about it now, and we still look at the pictures. So I would say to anybody, do go along. It's great fun. We are, I think we're sponsoring the yellow paint station maybe this year. Yep, the yellow paint station. The yellow paint station. And I know some of our support centre colleagues are going to be based there, but I also know that our Trelaworth nursery have a team of people running on the day, so they will also be covered in rainbow colours by the end of the event. And that there is that obvious connection, the fact that we are a childcare organisation and the work that Children's Hospice South West does, so it does touch a lot of our hearts, like I said. And in fact, our Penrice nursery is based just down the road from the hospice, so we do have real connections. And it's what I'm really delighted about. It's not just our nurseries that are supporting this, but also our support colleagues that aren't necessarily based in the nurseries. In order for the nurseries to function, we couldn't do it without our colleagues on the ground looking after the children, offering really high quality care. But it's also all the other support functions around it that enables the business to run. And I'm just so thrilled that everybody feels the importance and recognises the importance of fun events, but at the same time supporting the charity.
So how would you sort of evaluate your position and how you've been able to support and what it means to Happy Days?
We are in a great position where we can sponsor events and what have you. What I would say to organisations is there are so many other ways you can support, even just having pots in your business, on your premises, for money to be put in. In fact, we're going to be doing that as well. We've got a number of summer events across the next few months in our nurseries, and we're going to have charity pots where, you know, hopefully we can generate some more donations. But just little things like the cream tea. Everybody, you know, all offices, we have kitchens, we have catering facilities. There's no reason why you can't one day just extend that and do something a little bit more meaningful and get everybody involved. Getting the hospice colleagues in to speak as well was, I can't say how important, how vital that was for us, because like I said, it really ignited something in our colleagues and a real desire to want to support in the best way they can. People are very, very busy. We're all very, very busy. But if we can bring the fundraising to them, then I think that it's a quick win.
Okay. Kylie, can I just bring you back in a second? We're talking about the Rainbow Run for a moment, but there are so many other ways that people can fundraise. We touched upon it there with sort of fundraising buckets and things on desks and in receptions and whatever it might be. There's cycle rides. There's all sorts of different things. You could even, if you've got fancy dress in your wardrobe somewhere, you could even dress up as Santa at Christmas, can't you?
You can. There's lots of different ways that you can support Children's Hospice South West. Like you said, we've got lots of events, and our Moonlight Memory Walk has just launched, which is at the Lost Gardens of Heligan on the 7th of November, where you walk in memory of a loved one. Now, lots of people think with that event that it has to be in memory of a child or someone that's used Little Harbour. It's not. You can walk in memory of your mum, dad, child, family, friend. Last year we had 2 people walking in memory of their dog. Wow. It's a very beautiful evening. It's a memory ceremony followed by a 4K walk around the lit paths of Heligan with little aspects of stopping at different stations to do something in memory of your loved one, like leaving your fingerprint, writing their name in a book. So registration's just open for that one. And yes, Santa's will be opening in September back at Eden. That's sold out for the last 2 or 3 years. But if you don't feel like you want to attend an event, saying you work in a pub and you put on a quiz, could that be a charity quiz night? Could you put on a bingo evening for us? Or like Tom, could you cycle over 200 miles between our 3 hospices? 2026 is already sold out, but we've already launched our 2027 event, which starts at Little Harbour next year and finishes at our other hospice in North Somerset, Charlton Farm. The concept is that you cycle between our 3 hospices. However, you could make a monthly donation. You could do our lottery. You could leave a gift in your will. Every penny makes a difference. It costs £16 million to run all 3 of our hospices. Like I said earlier, 4.3 million just to run Little Harbour. We get 13% government funding currently. Every penny does really make a difference. And what we do love about the events is we want you to make memories with your family and friends while helping us to make memories for our families. And that's really key. Like one of our bereaved dads said to us, Little Harbour was the hug that held them up at the worst possible time. And that is the difference you're making. We encourage anyone to come and see Little Harbour. We do open day tours on the first Monday of the month. And like Nicola was saying, when you come and see actually the difference, not just this building is making, but the incredible care team, there's 50 members of our care team, is making, you really will see exactly what your money is funding. And we wouldn't be here without the Cornish community. We're biased, but the Cornish community are the most generous. They helped build our very first hospice 35 years ago, Littlebridge House, and they've continued to support and fund Little Harbour. Next year we celebrate 15 years. What people don't realise they're also doing by fundraising for us is also raising awareness. Yes, we are well known, but there are so many people that still don't know that we exist. There is 1,000 families across the southwest that could be accessing and being supported by our service that don't know that we exist. So you're not only just helping us raise money, but you're raising awareness of us as a hospice.
So come on down to Rainbow Run, have a look at all the other events as well. Do what you can to raise awareness from as little as sharing posts and things like that, because there's a lot of posts going out this week.
There's a lot of posts going out this week. Everyone needs to pre-register. So we're currently running our 10% discount tickets. So it costs £18 for an adult to sign up and £9 for a child. That helps cover the cost of the event, along with the incredible sponsorship from businesses like Happy Days. The sponsorship you raise, so we ask individuals to raise £35 and we ask families to raise £93 as a family. That £93 funds 1 hour of care. That is what is funding the hospice and the care that we provide. So go to our website, Children's Hospice Southwest /Rainbow Run, and you can register online. We don't accept on the day sign-ups because we need to know how many medals, etc. we need to order. So sign up by the 1st of June to get that 10% off. We've got 500 spaces left. So there's over 1,000 people already sign up. We can have 1,500 at the event. So if you want to take one of those final places, we would love to see you. And it's not just about the run. We've got a full event village for entertainment. We've got Below Zero, the band playing. We've got DJ in Cornwall, obviously Chaos Radio. There's loads of games and stalls. Happy Days are there every year, and we do the Rainbow Run paint across the face, which raises more money. There's food vendors, there's bouncy castles. So it's a real full day out for the whole family.
Is it accessible as well? For example, if a wheelchair user wants to come along, and can they get involved too?
Absolutely. The course is completely flat. It's done on the tarmac. It's anyone over 5 can take part. If you can't take part in Rainbow Run, help us spread the word. Could we send you flyers or a poster to your business? Can you help us promote the event? Can you potentially... Are you a part of a group? Would you like us to come and give you a talk? Like Nicola said, you will be inspired by what you hear. So we just want to get out there and spread the word for Children's Hospice Southwest. We invest so much on the day because for us, if people have an incredible time, they'll want to come back and do it again. And that's been our feedback for the last, and ethos for the last 12 years. There's so many amazing charities in Cornwall, and people have only got a limited amount of time and money. So we know that they have to pick and choose carefully. So we want to ensure that when they do support Children's Hospice Southwest, they have the most incredible time and make the most amazing memories. Like Nicola said with her granddaughter, that is why I have been doing my job for the last 12 years. And it's what really I know that I'm sort of making a difference, not just for the families, but actually for so many people out in the community. There'll be hopefully over 2,000 people at Rainbow Run again on the day. And we couldn't do it. Just a huge thank you to all of our sponsors, Chaos Radio and RAF St Mawgan, for all their support.
Nicola, if I could just bring you back in for one final sort of question. You're making such an incredible impact on Children's Hospice Southwest. Where can we find out more about what you guys do?
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, we have a great social media presence. We have a great marketing team that would ensure we are out there constantly. A super website, www.happydaysnurseries.com. You'll get all the information you need about the nurseries on there. The windows to our nursery basically is on that website, and you can have a look at any nursery that's local to you. There's a map that you can look at. If you don't know the locations of the nurseries, they are very easily found on that map. But, the next step then is just pick up the phone and give our managers a ring, and they can talk through all the wonderful stuff they do in those nurseries and how they can support you and your family. Yeah, go on the website. That would be my suggestion. Absolutely.
Fantastic. And Kiley, could I ask you the same question? Where can people find out more information about the events that you're doing, the work that you do, where you are? How can they reach out?
Yeah. Easiest place is go to our website, chsw.org.uk. Every type of event and the way you can support us is on there, or give us a ring at Little Harbour on 01726 871 800. One of the team would love to speak to you.
NEWSWAVE.
Right, local lads Gareth and Matt join us now to talk about their organisation We Are One, which aims to support mental health through sports. In that vein, they're planning a Rugby Sevens tournament later this month. They joined Cheryl Gordon in the studio to chat all about it.
NEWSWAVE.
Hi, I'm Gareth. As a barber, I have the opportunity to meet people on a personal level. That's how my friendship grew with Matt. Both went back to playing rugby last year and really saw the importance of being part of a team and the mental health side of that. So yeah, we are creating We Are One, turning it into a CIC charity, bringing back the community stronger.
And I can see you're really passionate about making that personal touch, that bringing that community together, from conversations we're already having here today. How does that make you feel as a person?
Well, it's great. I mean, it's a way for us to give back. Connection is such an important thing that I feel like we're losing at the moment. So to be able to empower people in that way and find ways for them to find their own way to give back maybe is really important to us, and it makes us feel great.
Absolutely. Now, your Rugby Sevens tournament will be held on the 24th of May. What can people expect if they come along?
So we are hoping to turn it into a family day. We've invited all of the men's teams in Cornwall and the ladies teams. So it's over 18s, and it's to bring awareness to mental health within sports. So we're working alongside Man Down and George's Voice. We've collaborated with them before. It's really important to us. I think as a barber, men tend to open up more now, which is really good. So yeah, it's just building those bridges and networking and bringing that community together. What impact are you hoping this event will have for both the people attending and for the wider community?
I think awareness is key, and I believe that creating an event like this will bring together a lot of people which can raise the awareness, not only for mental health, but also for connection amongst us. The goal is for us is to create this CIC, and this is really a launch pad for us to be able to give back even more once we're post-event. That's something that we feel really strongly about, but the connections for us aren't just for sport. It's anything professional, mental health, or anything that's in between, really. So that's a really important key factor for us.
I think there can be a lot of pressure on people that are within sport sometimes. You know, we see it with highly trained athletes, for example, the pressure to be able to keep going, play well at their best. So it makes sense to start having that outreach for people to be able to express themselves, doesn't it, really?
Absolutely. I think with any sort of sport, there's a pressure put on you to play well, produce well, be part of that team and support one another. Sometimes when you step back, you kind of reflect and you think, oh, maybe I struggled there, or maybe I don't know how to approach those feelings we have. So by working with Man Down and George's Voice, even if it's just signposting, it's putting that awareness out there and showing people that there is external help.
Yeah, I think sometimes like the costing within the NHS sometimes can be issues. And knowing that great charities like Man Down and George's Voice out there, people know that they can reach out. So obviously we've talked about both Man Down and George's Voice, and you've worked closely with them. What makes you so passionate about these two charities?
Firstly, we're passionate about mental health, but we also want to bring a movement aspect to that. We believe that movement, fitness and those things contribute massively to your mental health. And if it means that we can combine those things, that's what the key of We Are One is to us. I mean, that's really the key factor.
And I think the name sort of resonates really well, doesn't it, with it, to make a difference to people. And we are all one, aren't we, especially within Cornwall. Now, there are quite a few teams that have entered. Can teams still apply?
Yes, we've extended our invitation to all the teams up until the 8th of March. We've got about a third already paid up and entered. Really looking forward to them being there. So we've got an online form they can fill out, pay their fee. With that, we're producing a We Are One rugby shirt. So each team will get a shirt framed with a thank you note and a QR code that will take you to the We Are One website, which will branch out to all the local mental health charities.
Wonderful. It sounds a really great event. Finally, please can you remind us of all the important details, who, what, when, where, and how people can follow along with your journey?
So 24th of May, that's going to be at Red Ruth Rugby Club. We're going to sell tickets for £5 on the door. We're also going to be having a link, hopefully, on our Instagram and on our webpage soon, so you can buy your tickets directly through there. There's going to be children's entertainment. There's going to be a party afterwards, and we're going to have a great day and celebrate movement, mental health and rugby.
NEWSWAVE.
Right, you're listening to NEWSWAVE here on Chaos Radio with me, Tom Howe. St Austell has a new mayor. Councillor Ethan Stephens has taken on the role for 2026 into 27 after serving as deputy over the past year, and promises to represent the town with pride and dedication. During a fundraising event at White River Cinema this week, raising money and awareness for Medi Cinema, I spoke to him about stepping into the role, the challenges that lie ahead, and what he wants to achieve during his year in office.
NEWSWAVE.
I'm Ethan Stephens. I was the Deputy Mayor of St Austell last year. I am now officially made Mayor, which is surreal, if I'm honest with you. I had to check, because I wanted to see if I'm the youngest Mayor, and I am, so I'm pretty proud of that accomplishment.
Congratulations.
Thank you. As for who I am, so aside from obviously being employed with a healthcare agency, as I said, I am also a town councillor. I represent the Homebush and Bethel ward, so I'm part of that group who are nominated to support there, and I'm now officially the mayor, which is fantastic.
How exciting! So an area you know well, an area you're passionate about.
Yeah. So I live there. So I should be pretty passionate about it, right? Yeah.
Exactly. It's always good to have somebody on the ground that knows people, that cares about the community and all of that. And you've got you've got the regalia here. You don't have the official mayor making ceremony until the 27th, but that's quite a weird kind of few weeks where I suppose you can get used to the role, I suppose.
Yeah. So absolutely. I think the good thing is, and the way that I like to view it is, when let's say you start a new job, you have all of that pent-up angst. You're a little bit nervous, you're a little bit worried about if you're going to do a good job. Well, the good thing is as deputy mayor, you can make all of those mistakes, and actually the mayor will take the fall for it anyway. Of course, I'm joking, right? Me and Colin worked well, and he showed me a lot, and he led me on the right path. So actually becoming mayor isn't too much of a scary thing. It could be to some, but you're slowly adapted into this role. For me, it's fantastic. I love going to events like today. I love all of the other events across Cornwall that you get invited to, as well as all of the events that we hold in St Austell. So for me, I will naturally do my best to fulfil that role as much as I can, but yeah, I mean, you're sort of trained to be the best you can be as deputy, and then you move on to mayor.
Brilliant. So you've got this great grounding. Like we said, you already know the area too. Your predecessor, Councillor Colin Hamilton, was fantastic in the role. You've got big shoes to fill, but you are here on sort of day 2, day 3 at a community event here at White River Cinema.
Yeah. So, day 2, going strong. So that's all right. I'm not giving up yet. And quite a packed agenda as well. But, of course, as soon as I was contacted, and I was actually contacted about this event before I came mayor, so that was good. And, it's a worthwhile cause. I mean, how can I not?
We talked a little bit off air just a second ago about changing perceptions about things and really having that positive energy behind St Austell and surrounding areas. Events like this are exactly kind of igniting those emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. And, regardless of the event, it's a local event, right? So everyone should be out supporting anything that they can that's local to them. It's free, right? You can come down. I'm sure they'll be happy to swap someone out on the bike. I mean, I had a go, and it's not as easy as it looks, right?
It really isn't.
Yeah, let's just clarify that. It's not as easy as it looks. And, just come down, say hi, give a bit of support. It doesn't cost you anything to come and say hi, right? And of course, absolutely, while you're here, check out the movies if you can.
That's how it develops, because that's how it works for us on the ground. We'll go and visit somebody, and then from that visit, we'll probably meet 2 or 3 different people who we then go and visit, and then from them 2 or 3 each on top of that, and it's just this network of amazing people in St Austell. Of course, there are sort of bones of contention. We know the Green Goddess just outside here as well. We know the impending sort of one-way system behind us here and in White River Place, various other sort of things that we've been talking about, but there's so much to celebrate as well, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely, right. So the good thing is, and I think for everyone who lives in St Austell, including myself, it's very easy to get swept in negative thoughts or views of where you live. But actually go out actually go and see everyone, go and, like you say, communicate with your community. It's actually not as bad as what we all think. I think it's easy to get swapped in those views, but the positive parts about it, are we really raving as much as we can about that, And me as a mayor, that is now falling on my shoulders to be that shining person to do that, and I absolutely will. We have very easy things that we can complain about. Trust me, as a council member, I am trying my hardest to make sure that we have positive things going on, and that anything negative is hopefully dealt with at some point. As to how much we have control over that, not usually a lot. With the statue, for example, private land, private statue, it's not down to the council, unfortunately. But what I can do is I can say instead, come and support a local fun thing to do. Right, we've got things going on this weekend. Go there. Go have a bit of fun. Enjoy where you live.
Get out there, talk to people, learn about what the work that's going on behind the scenes. Of course, you're going to be hearing about things like antisocial behaviour. You're going to be hearing about things like homelessness. But actually, I get really frustrated when I read comments on social media and bandwagon jumping. I think it would be not unfair to say when actually, what we're trying to do here at Chaos, and I know what the town council are doing, and I'm sure you'll be doing as mayor as well, is talking to some of these organisations that are trying to make positive change. And what they could do with is a bit more support, I think, rather than possibly all the negative comments and things like that. And I understand, it is very, very divisive, and I don't want to fall on the wrong side of the argument here or upset anyone. But at the same time, I would like to encourage people and get your opinion as well on if we're going to change perceptions and if we're going to change mentalities. We've got to all work together, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. It's all about community engagement, and it's all about us all coming together as a community. Right. If you want things better, then we should all be willing to work together to make those things better. So personally, for me, that's the whole reason I became part of the council. I became part of the council to make things better, to make things happier. I've got 2 young children. I think about them all the time whenever, every meeting that I do, how is this impacting them, right? Not me and not so much myself, if things are happening, they take time to happen. So the main people that it will impact is my children and other children, other children in the community. So for me, it's all about what's it doing to the next generation, the generation after, and so on. Is this beneficial, yes or no? Should we be doing it, yes or no? And those are the ones that you need to think about.
At this point, I've got one final question after this one, but at this point, I think it's important maybe to say how people can contact yourself, contact the town council. How can they reach out with maybe concerns or maybe positive feedback as well that they want to share?
I mean, positive feedback, please contact me directly, right? No, I'm joking. In all honesty, I'm a very approachable guy, right? You can't really mistake me. I have glasses and a big ginger beard. If I'm out on formal duty, you'll see me in the gold chains, right? Any questions you have, by all means, just come up and say hi. Please don't hurl abuse at me. That would prefer that. But other than that, you can find all of my contact details on the town council website. You can also find details on how to contact the town council on their website as well. But yeah, other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Facebook as well, I have a very active Facebook account. That is me, by the way. I should add, I don't have a PR or I don't have any admin. It's all me. So yeah, just by all means pop me a message or give me a call, whatever works.
And the last question is: it must take a while to sort of feel comfortable with Councillor Ethan. How does it feel being now Mayor Ethan? When you woke up this morning, did you think, oh yeah, no, I am. I've just made my breakfast. No, I am Mayor. Actually, that's wild.
Yeah, it actually goes a little bit further than that. I grew up in St Austell, right? So I used to go to Poltaire School. I went to St Austell College. I worked in the Travel Lodge. I have lived in St Austell, I think, since I was about 8. So yeah, wasn't born here, sorry, but I was raised here, and it's astounding. If I could go back in time and say to younger me, you know what you're going to be doing one day. I think I'd probably laugh at myself, right? It's somewhat surreal. And yeah, just knowing that actually I'm taking on this duty for the town that I've known and loved, you know, massive majority of my life, is phenomenal. I love it. And waking up knowing that I'm now in that position is even better.
NEWSWAVE.
Okay, you might have spotted us out and about across Cornwall this past week for Mental Health Awareness Week, chatting to a whole range of different brilliant organisations and special guests as part of the People in Mind show. Now, to catch up on all of the inspiring conversations we had, head on over to chaos.radio and click catch up. In the meantime, though, let's hear from one of those people who joined us. It's Noah Law, the MP for St Austell and Newquay, who dropped by to talk about the importance of supporting mental health and activity in our communities.
NEWSWAVE.
Welcome back. You're with Zara, and I'm live from St Austell. And dancing with me to Murder on the Dance Floor is Noah Law, your MP for St Austell and Newquay. Thank you so much for your time and joining us, Noah.
Thanks, Zara. Nice to be here.
So you're enjoying a bit of dancing there to Murder on the Dance Floor. Do you like a bit of a boogie?
I do. I think anyone that knows me knows I like a bit of a boogie. And as I'm sure we're discussing today as well, it's very good for your brain as well as your body.
Absolutely. Before we get into that, tell us a little bit about your role here as MP.
Yeah, so it's very varied, and I spend an awful lot of time on various different issues, but I think it's fair to say that support and ensuring that the right support is in place for people with mental health and being active, that is a big part of my role. And one of the things that I've worked on recently is with some of the sports clubs over in Newquay, also with St Austell AFC here as well. There's a lot of work to be done to make sure that we've got the playing pitch space that we need so that we can go out and be active. And
why do you think that's important for your constituents right here in St Austell and Newquay as well?
Well, we live in a beautiful place, but I think an observation a lot of people make is that although there's this nature and green space around us, we don't always have easy ways for access to access that. And that applies for people young and old. So the more we can support these grassroots clubs and organisations, the better, I think.
And is that one of the council's priorities here in St Austell?
Yes. So the council have actually put a full-time staffer on trying to get the playing pitches into order. There's quite a few moving parts and a lot of demand that isn't being met. More and more people are joining sports clubs, believe it or not. But that space is at a real premium. So we do need to make sure that we're allocating more space, investing in the facilities, and it does take a lot of money, but we've got to make sure that we get those kind of business plans in order so that we can make it happen.
And are you seeing a lot of uptake from the constituents here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also broadening. I mean, I mainly sort of play five-a-side football myself, and but you know the number of sports on offer, and particularly in Newquay where you've got such a kind of active water sports as well. It's really amazing the number of different things you can do.
And of course, we can't forget the people who may have limited mobility and accessibility issues. What sort of things are on offer in the local area to kind of support people with more limited access to those things?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one example I thought of is the work that the surf veterans do, for example, to get people out on a board who may have limited mobility. It's really impressive how you can get out to sea and experience the same things that anyone else can. So people are doing that work to break down the barriers.
And I think we live in such a beautiful county, but we're all guilty of not making the most of it. What advice would you give people to get out and kind of see their community and be part of that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, first, just make sure that you're clued up about what's on in your community. Active Cornwalls, as I'm sure you'll hear from, is a really good place to start in terms of knowing what's out there and encouraging people to be more active. But I think, yeah, it's just that awareness of actually what's on offer. So I'm going to continue to promote the different clubs that I'm working with, let it be known what's out there. And sometimes it does just take a bit of a kind of, that sort of self-motivation, get out of bed in the morning. I'm not going to lie, I'm not the most, the sportiest person in the world, but I do try and kind of pull myself out of bed on a Tuesday to make the five-a-side football with some of my parliamentary colleagues.
So what else do you do to enjoy or to support your well-being?
Yeah, so there's that. I think other than that, it's more intermittent, really. I sometimes go up for a bodyboard or a surf on the north coast. But as I say, I could probably do a lot more myself. It's hard to find time when you're so busy, but it's so needed as well.
And you're right, we all must remember our self-care, and that's something we're going to talk a little bit more about as we go through the programme this morning. But thank you so much for your time today. Where can people find out about the work that you're doing to support that here in St Austell and Newquay?
Yep, so you can contact me on noah.law.mp@parliament.uk. And if you want to come and see me at a surgery here in St Austell or elsewhere, we do sort of remote surgeries as well. Please don't hesitate to get in touch on noah.law.mp@parliament.uk and we can set up a time to speak.
Lovely. Again, thank you so much for your time. I know you're very busy, so thank you for taking the time out to come and chat to us today. And like you say, very soon we will be hearing from Active Cornwall to find out what they're doing to support us right here in St Austell and across the county as well. But right now, on with the music.
NEWSWAVE.
And finally, this week, a new memoir out this month tells the story of one woman's journey from everyday life in Barcelona to the wild edges of the British Isles, all in honour of her late brother. Thundery at times, follows Katie Carr as she takes on his unfinished challenge to sea kayak in every area of the shipping forecast, despite never having kayaked before. Whilst promoting her book in Cornwall, she sat down with Bryna Jordan to chat more about the journey, the writing and the story behind it.
NEWSWAVE.
The first book I wrote in his voice based on his notes and pictures and any information I could find from anywhere. And it took me quite a long time to piece together what he'd actually done because I hadn't lived that myself. And then to think about what were the emotions involved, try to find that out, interview people, really piece the whole thing together. And writing in his voice was slightly easier in a way because it allowed me to always be able to understand from a third-party perspective whether he looked okay. And this was one of the main challenges when I started writing in my own voice. I had a lot of doubt over whether I was coming across as a bit of an idiot. And when you're writing about yourself, it's much more difficult to decide whether that's the case or not. Eventually, what happened after a few months of being a little bit stuck with this was that I just decided I needed to be as honest as possible and put that aside and think, well, if I did come across as a bit of an idiot, then that's probably an authentic reflection of who I am. And so in my journey, the difficult thing, I think, was more choosing what to leave out because I had the full Technicolor version of it, whereas with Toby's, I already had his selection of what was the most important because he'd written in his notes. So that I'd say those are the main challenges between writing his book and writing mine.
Absolutely. I guess as well, going back to the point where you're kind of afraid of what you're going to come across as or how you're going to come across. I think it's a lot easier, especially the way you wrote both books. The first book being just from his notes. Like you said, it's a lot easier to just kind of look at it a bit more objectively. There's a lot more, I guess, emotion when you're trying to portray yourself on paper like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not the type of person, despite years of coaching and therapy, and that's what I actually do in real life when I'm not writing, I'm still not the type of person who's generally super emotional. And so I had to kind of spend some time thinking, but what did I actually feel? And at the end of each day when I was kayaking or doing the journey, I forced myself to write notes so that I would remember this, because it's much more difficult to remember perhaps some of the things that we felt above things that we saw or things that we did, or certainly that's been my experience. So I had to work quite hard on that emotional side. That was in another challenge, really. Also deciding how much I wanted to share, because there's quite a lot of backstory in this as well. And I grew up, we both grew up in a family that had particular challenges, like my mother became mentally ill from one day to the next when I was 11. And I wanted to include this, but it's also something I've avoided talking about or including in so many other places that I felt quite worried about how much backstory do I include and how do I kind of balance that with moving the real story forward. So I've tried to include it as an interesting sub-story, but also keep things moving forward, if that that makes sense.
Yes, yeah. And it seems to be that the whole situation of not only just writing the book, but also yourself taking on the challenge kind of stepped you outside of your comfort zone quite a bit. How did stepping so far outside kind of reshape how you see yourself?
Well, I think it's interesting because I realised that I don't spend a lot of time doing things that I don't feel competent at. And I suddenly threw myself into these two arenas, particularly the sea kayaking, because I'd never done that before. So I was completely incompetent in that. In writing, I'd always considered myself a writer or someone able to write nicely, but hadn't written a book before. So we're in these two places where I'm not really used to being. And if I'm honest, it gave me my self-confidence back in a way. When I started, when Toby died, I was the mum of two very young boys. And I did feel a bit like my identity had been rubbed out, as I think quite a lot of parents will probably identify with, because you're just suddenly, all of your focus is on the children and, you know, maybe work and a few other things, but you don't have the big projects or the big journeys and adventures and things that you perhaps did, or in my case, I did in my 20s and 30s. So I was sort of starting from there and needed to get back to some version of myself from before. And I didn't realise this at the time, but looking back on it, that's what this journey and the book writing, both of them, has really helped me to do, as well as obviously to kind of dealing with the grief of losing my brothers and the rest of my family.
And you took on this challenge in honour of your brother to finish what he started. Were there any moments along the way where you felt especially close or connected to him?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I quite often just felt close to him as I got in the kayak each time. It's a really special feeling. Any of your listeners who get into small boats on a regular basis will know that feeling of when you start to float across the water. And it's just very, very special. And it's a place that I know that he spent a lot of time. And that really connected me with him. Obviously, he'd already done the Cornish waters, so I didn't need to do that as part of my book. But of course I did paddle a little bit here, and that was lovely as well, because I know that this was just where he loved to go out just whenever he had an opportunity. Even paddling a little bit in the Fowl for me was really special because it was sort of his place.
You're actually in Cornwall at the moment as we speak, bringing your book to audiences here. How has it been sharing this story in a place so connected to the coastline and to the sea, and of course also to your brother as well?
Yeah, it's particularly special. I found this when I presented the last book here as well, that when his picture came up on the screen at the theatre, I burst into tears unexpectedly. And I'd seen his picture hundreds of times, but it just was it being in Cornwall, in the theatre, and having this really strong connection. It's very special to be able to come here to tour around the smaller bookshops and have chats with different people about the beauty of Cornwall, as well as grief and kayaking and anything else that comes out.
This book balances humour with some very real grief. How did you find that tone whilst being able to stay honest to your own experience?
I think it's quite part of my personality, and it certainly was part of my brother's personality as well, that even though things can be quite difficult, and that might be because of grief or illness or whatever else life might throw at us, I think we can find space for joy, and I think we can find space to have a bit of a laugh, and that having a little bit of a laugh at yourself and maybe at the situation can help us to get through it and just connect as humans as well. So this was really important for me, that it isn't sort of a misery memoir where you're like, oh my God, please just, get over it or whatever. It's quite fun along the way as well.
Finally, Katie, what do you hope that readers will take away from Thundery at Times?
I hope that they see it as a life-affirming book, but not one where you feel obliged to live life to the full every day and stress yourselves out. I think that there are lots of opportunities, and sometimes those opportunities come along in ways we don't expect them, and sometimes it's about grabbing them and seeing where they take you. And I think there's also something which particularly listeners in Cornwall will be quite aware of, which is this absolute beauty in nature, and being able to stand on a cliff top or paddle underneath it, or whatever you do that gets you into the countryside, can just have this amazingly curing effect that is so worth remembering. Is it worth going out for that walk this afternoon? Yes, it probably is, I think. So really that love of nature and just getting into the greenery or the blue of the sea. They can find out more about me from my website, which is Katie Annice Carr, and Annice has 2 N's in it and a C, so KatieAnniceCarr.com. And I also have an active Instagram account, which is @moderateBecomingGoodLater, which is the name Toby gave to the journey. And obviously it's a quote from the shipping forecast as well.
NEWSWAVE.
We've got a little bonus section for you now. In this week's Talking Travel, Rory talks about the 874-mile journey between the furthest southwesterly point of the UK, that's Land's End, to the furthest northeasterly point, John O'Groats, and why this journey is one that thousands of people do every year. After Rory, we'll hear from Jessica, who is joined by Keenan Cronin, an AI recruiting strategist at Workable, to discuss AI in recruitment and how to make your CV stand out in this week's Talking Tech.
NEWSWAVE.
With Talking Travel, I'm Rory McGowan. The UK may be a small nation in comparison to others, but that doesn't mean that people don't attempt incredibly long travel challenges. One of the most famous of these is travelling from the 2 furthest points in the UK, from Land's End in Cornwall to John O'Groats in the Scottish Highlands. This 874-mile journey is known as the Le Jog, Land's End, John O'Groats route, and it's a trip that thousands of people make every year in their own way. The most common way to do this journey is by bike. Over 4,000 people a year cycle hundreds of miles from one place to the other, and there are several routes that people can take. A journey like this takes about 3 weeks, assuming the person cycles 40 to 60 miles a day and completes 900 miles of road. Routes typically take you through the southwest towards Glastonbury, up through the West Midlands to Nantwich, then through to Kendal, and only crossing east towards John O'Groats once you reach Scotland. To walk this distance takes about 3 months for the average person, and is normally done over the summer for the best possible weather. However people choose to do this journey, it's safe to say that it's a significant investment of time, money and energy. With the amount of organisation and training people do, why are so many people enamoured with this walk in particular? Well, for those who have a keen interest in adventure, it's to properly explore the UK and to see places and scenery that they may never have seen before. One man, Adam Lewis, who walked the Le Jog Challenge over the summer of 2022, said that we live in a country with so much amazing scenery, and there is something special about walking through all of it. In the beginning, you'll be looking over the Atlantic coast of Cornwall, and then later crossing the flatter fields of the Midlands. Some routes take you through the Lake District, a place known for its scenic viewpoints, and all travellers will eventually reach the Scottish Highlands. Few journeys capture this geographical diversity of the United Kingdom quite so completely as this one. Whilst it's not a challenge for the casual walker, many people across the UK take tremendous pride in attempting this challenge, and in the process, they get to see more of the country they live in, and in some cases even raise money for charity in the process. What a way to see so many great landmarks of this incredible country. With Talking Travel, I'm Rory McGowan.
NEWSWAVE.
With Talking Tech, I'm Jessica Harding. AI is increasingly being used to support more consistent and fair decision-making for recruiters. Joining me to discuss this is Keenan Cronin, an AI recruiting strategist at Workable. Keenan, why is AI being used in recruitment?
A year ago, we'd have 200 candidates for a job. Now it's 1,500 candidates for a job. So they are looking for anything that's going to help them save that time. The surprising thing for me is like the improved experience that AI is giving candidates. The time pressure savings is huge, but also it means that as a candidate, you're applying and in a few minutes, you're being contacted by the company. This AI understands your job, understands your background, and is asking you smart questions, and you might even get an interview within the first 10 minutes of applying versus 14 days never getting an answer back.
What should people think about when making a CV?
The core rules still apply. 3 years ago, before AI, your recruiter would never even look at your CV in the first place. They've always been the most stretched team in the company. Whereas now, your CV's at least getting a look in, and that's happening in the most unbiased way possible. Write your CV, making sure that you match those requirements as close as possible. Don't fill it full of keywords, don't fill it full of fluff, don't feel like you need to try and game the system because it is going to be in front of a recruiter. Look at that job, bullet point out where they ask for something, then look at your CV and make sure that you are clearly reflecting that. Not just saying, I have 3 to 5 years experience. Try and think about, is there an example that you can build in there? Is a metric or a number that you're proud of? Because at Workable, what we're doing is our AI is simply evaluating like that. It has the job description and the job requirements. Then it looks through your CV and pulls those out and sees how strong of a match is this person. Take full advantage of AI. It is one of the best resources for making sure that you can get your CV in as good a shape as possible. Take the job requirements, take your CV, plug them in and ask it to help make it as good as possible.
Does a CV need to be a certain format or look a certain way to pass the AI screening?
I'd say the safest is to just use a basic document format, basic headings, subheadings, and body text. Tables, I know, can get a bit iffy, and there can be some things that are pulled out in weird ways. I think the bottom line is, if a human can read it, an AI can read it.
Where can we go for more information?
At workable.com, we've got a whole resources section for job seekers, advice on building a good CV, templates for different industries, all free. You don't need to download anything. You don't need to give your email address. The best place to go is just workable.com.
Thank you, Keenan. With Talking Tech, I'm Jessica Harding.
NEWSWAVE.
Okay, that's all we've got time for on this week's edition of NEWSWAVE. A big Chaos Radio thank you to Kiley Pearce at Children's Hospice South West, to Gareth and Matt of We Are One, to Mayor of St Austell Ethan Stephens, to Noah Law, the MP for St Austell and Newquay, and to everybody that joined us during our People in Mind roadshows marking Mental Health Awareness Week. Of course, to author Katie Carr, and last but not least, to Rory and Jessica from their respective Talking Travel and Talking Techs. NEWSWAVE has been produced and presented by me, Tom Howe, and is a Chaos Radio production for the Cornwall Community Media Network.
NEWSWAVE.
Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.